Welcome to the premiere episode of Zombie Defense League. Today we're going to be talking about episode 1 of season 5 of The Walking Dead. And needless to say, it was pretty explosive, wouldn't you say, guys?
Definitely.
No doubt.
It turns out that Carol is the greatest action hero on television. She went full on Rambo and took out pretty much an entire compound by herself. But it all starts off with a voiceover with Abraham telling the group that they are going to go to a DC to take what's his name?
I want to say it's Brian, but I know that's not right.
It's probably not. The smart redneck. How is that?
Yeah.
One with the juicy mullet.
Oh, he has the best mullet I have seen. Oh, I just want to masturbate to it. But and then you hear about Daryl talking about the White Cross with a black car that took I think her name was Beth. And then Ty and then Sasha ask if Ty Reese is being a scene, and then we just go back into them about to be taken to I want to say their death. They were in the car and they're getting prepared and they're going all MacGyver, forming weapons out of belt buckles and shards of wood. What do you think about that? About how smart the people of Terminus are?
The people of Terminus?
Yeah, because instead of opening up the door, they drop that flashbang down there.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. You didn't really see it coming. Mm-hmm. As far as the survivors are concerned, it's pretty intelligent, some of the things they came up with.
Oh yeah.
To make weapons with.
I mean, I think I saw someone making a weapon out of a button and making claws or something. It was pretty wild.
Like a Wolverine style claws out of a belt buckle.
That was pretty awesome. And then when a flashback came, you see, I could see them being drugged, but you see from Rick's perspective, and he's fading in and out. You see someone, I just want to say he's being, butchered. And we're pretty certain by now that they are, in fact, cannibals, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They're getting their hindquarters and their butt roast and
all that yummy stuff.
Oh yeah. Now I don't know if anybody had caught this, but the first person who got batted on the head and had his throat cut was Sam. Sam being the guy that Carol and Rick found in that home, who was a girlfriend that he gave his watch to.
Right.
And that's the significance of the watch lick. That he's the one that him and his girlfriend had ran off and she got bit in last season. Anyway, he's having a complete brain fart here. But yeah, what did you think about them hitting home runs on their head? And is it just me, or are they getting more graphic this season?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what you can and can't show. Like, for instance, there's a computer game out. They call it Team Fortress 2. In Germany, they have censored it to where they're robots killing each other and blowing each other to pieces, and that's fine. But it's they censored it from the American version, which is humans.
Right.
And I think that's bleeding over into what's acceptable on cable TV, in that hey, these are zombies, so you can do whatever the hell you want to them.
Yeah, but when they batted those dudes on the head and slit their throats, and they're bleeding into the trough, and you actually see them slit, blood gush, and then you see that one zombie with a guy who for some reason just could not stand up and run. He was eating his face. You don't really see that stuff from the previous seasons.
Yeah, it's probably just a cultural thing, and you know they're constantly trying to push the boundary.
Well, you know what they were alluding to with the ball bat and then the slitting of the throat, don't you?
No.
Okay, well, being a Southern girl raised by a Southern man, back in the day when people didn't have, or when they slaughtered their cattle, remember the reference to you're either the cattle or you're the...
Yes.
Okay. See, that's how they killed the cattle. It was the most humane way to do it. They would knock them out and then slit their throat to bleed them.
Well, it kind of got me thinking.
That's what they did.
That we can sit there and watch some guy's throat being slit and gushing blood into a trough, 4 guys actually, and a zombie literally eating somebody's face off on regular TV, but we cannot say fuck.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's like when, at the very end of last season, when Rick said they don't know who they are screwing with, he should have said they don't know who they are fucking with, because what is the difference between saying fuck and having a zombie literally eating a guy's face off? Because kids are sitting there watching this show, but we can't say fuck.
Well, it's probably just a cultural thing. If you said fuck on TV before the 10 o'clock FCC regulated horseshit, then people would just lose their fucking minds.
Well, I think that the show would be better. Just every now and then they drop an F-bomb.
Or do it like Breaking Bad did.
Yeah, they say it, but just
they'll bleep it out, and if it's written down, they mosaic over it.
Yeah.
But if you get the DVD, hey, there it is.
I don't see a problem with that, and what gets me is that it's still AMC, so why can't they do the same thing that Breaking Bad did? Anyway, pretty much this guy Gareth, who is for some reason keeping records of who they slaughter. It's amazing to me that cannibals are able to do this. He saves Glenn at the last minute. Glenn, who I think is become a superhero because he's gone from a complete pussy to a guy who saves the day regularly.
Yeah.
And volunteers for everything. He pretty much gets saved, and then Bob, saves him again, saying you don't have to do this. Was it not badass when Gareth was talking to Rick and he was asking about the bag, and he said, "Well, yeah, there's a machete with a green handle that I am going to kill you with."
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
And then there was an explosion that saves all 4 of them. And then we go to Tyrese, Carol, and Judith, who, for some reason, up until now, the only time that you ever see Tyrese doing anything violent besides beating the shit out of Rick is when he was surrounded by all those zombies, walkers. We can't say zombies.
Which there's an interesting story behind that. If our listeners don't know, in the Walking Dead universe, there is no zombie. There's no, as in movies, comic books, video games, the concept of the zombie never came about That's why they don't use the word zombie.
Could that be because there was no, like in that world, like there was no Night of the Living Dead or
Exactly.
Like, okay. So they don't have a concept of the word. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I find that Tyrese was, up until later on, he is probably a 6'4", 300-pound pussy.
Yeah, Gentle Green Giant.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I just cannot kill this zombie. And Carol's like, well, fucker, you're going to have to. And she pretty much lets it known that she will get him to a terminus, and then she is gone. But you can tell that she's really trying to get on his good side. I mean,
yeah, especially after that confession.
Yeah. Which I'm surprised that he hasn't killed her yet.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's a big pussy. Then they come across this young man named Martin who is talking about Sharon and Carl.
Michonne.
And Carl in ways that are not pleasant. And then he tries to backtrack and say, well, it's just them, and we're just giving them shelter, and they attacked us. And badass Carol's like, yeah, I don't believe a single word that you're saying.
Yeah.
And then she has to go and find out what's going on, and leaves Tyrese there with him alone, which is probably a mistake. Then this is when you start seeing Carol go full on John Rambo. Only thing that she was missing was the headband, rubbing, which we hadn't seen since season 1. Her rubbing the blood and the guts all over her face and her hair and her clothes and.
As a disguise.
Yeah. Did you, when she finally got there, when she put the bottle rocket in the gun, did you have the same thought that I did, that he's going to try to shoot the damn bottle rocket from the gun?
Well, I knew she was going to use it as a launching pad, but, I mean, if you, of course, unload the thing, you could shoot bottle rockets from a gun.
Right.
You just light it and you just use it like a tube, point and just let it go. But, I didn't think that she had the. I thought what she was going to do was shoot it off and then draw more walkers in.
Right.
What happens next, I didn't see that coming.
Well, yeah, when she and I guess that the showrunners have been watching that show on Discovery when they Mythbusters, when they proved that you cannot set off a propane tank with a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she shot a hole in it and launched it. That's great aim with that bottle rocket. It
no kidding.
Right in the breadbasket. And then she starts moseying in with some cooked walkers.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just starts, and then she pulled out, now I'm sorry, that big ass fucking gun and her small ass body, I don't think that she could have shot that gun.
Well, from what I saw, the magazine that was in it, it was probably a 5.56, and in that size gun, you wouldn't even feel recoil.
Okay. Well, she was pretty much taking out everybody that she saw, and then we go to Rick, who breaks free and skewers one of the dudes in the throat with his makeshift.
His little shiv that they had hidden.
And then he leaves the other guy to be eaten, which is pretty fantastic because that comes back later. Carol comes across Tasha Yar, which I don't even know her name in the show. Amy or something like that. Um, but they have a showdown and they fight over a gun, and she shoots her in the leg and lets in walkers. And she had Tasha Yar had a little speech about how they were there initially to help people, but then people came and took over, and they never came out and said what happened to them. But you can pretty much guess that there was rape and all kind of stuff involved. Then she let in some walkers and left. She found Rick's watch that he gave to that kid, and then she came across Daryl's crossbow, which I think that if whenever you see a crossbow, everybody thinks Daryl.
Yeah.
Rick and them, they free some crazy guy, and then free everybody else. Michonne, who has fashioned a new, it looked like Worf's thing from Star Trek Next Generation, but she's killing.
It was like walkers. A double-headed spear.
Yeah, and she's just going crazy. They manage to shoot their way out. They come back to the woods to get the bag, and then there's Carol. And if you remember from last season, Rick was like, "You can never come back again." And then suddenly he's like, "Did you do that for us? Oh, thank you very much."
Yeah.
And watching Daryl and Carol was pretty cool because he's damn near in tears. And
yeah.
We go back to Tyrese, and he gets outwitted by Martin, who's going to snap the baby's neck. Tells him to go outside. You hear a struggle, then it's all quiet. And then Big Bad Tyrese comes busting in the door and literally beats him to death, screaming something. I cannot read. I remember what he's screaming, but he finally gets it that he's going to have to take some lives in order to survive.
Right. I think that was too good for that bastard, though. Having that baby's throat right there in his hand.
Yeah.
Watching that, I still think he should have just cut his eyes out and shoved him out there to the walkers and let them deal with him.
Or piece by piece.
Yeah.
What did you think of up until this point the episode? I mean, because they had a little Marvel style Easter egg at the end of the credits that was kind of cool. But up until this point, what did you think of the episode?
If the show keeps this consistency throughout the entire season, it's going to be the best season. It will beat out one.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
My problem with this season is that it's going to be broken up like they did with Breaking Bad, the final season, 8, and then 8 more.
Oh, you know it. They will, because that's AMC's thing. They always do that.
Well, that's because they want to win Emmys.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Rachel? Who was very, very quiet.
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Did they ever decide where they were going to go once they left the cabin, or did they start walking?
I don't think they did. If they did, I don't remember that specifically.
Okay. I thought that it's very interesting when the smart redneck with a juicy mullet gave his explanation as to what the cure was. Do you think that he's full of shit or that he is legitimate?
I think it's gonna be hilarious, and it's gonna be a shitstorm once everyone who watches the show figures out who this guy is.
Because you
If
have
it-
some
if-
spoiler information.
If it actually follows the comic.
Well, I mean, have they been following along with the comic pretty much? Because I know the first few volumes they follow along, kind of.
Yeah,
Like-
a little bit. Some stuff they've gone out of order. Like if I remember correctly, they went to the prison and then to Herschel's farm.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, which is and at Herschel's farm is where they met the scientist guy.
Okay. Well, I know that they never went to the CDC in the novel. That's a
Mm-mm.
whole.
Yeah,
And Shane was supposed to die in the first few episodes and not in season 2.
the only good episode in season 2.
Yeah, that was pretty sad. Okay, so we get to the Easter egg, the Marvel type surprise when we see someone coming up to the Terminus sign that Rick had changed, and he's wearing a very groovy mask. I was like, that's pretty cool. He takes it off, and it was Morgan from season 1.
Yeah, way back when.
Yeah, and it was actually me and him having talking about him earlier that day. Do you think that he's going to come across as being like the next governor type guy, or will he be a good type character? Because he didn't look too happy.
Well, if you notice, he didn't have his son in tow.
Right.
So, who knows where it's going to go from there.
Because they have to have, besides the walkers, they have to have an antagonist. I mean,
Right.
they have had one every single episode, whereas, a season. Whereas season 2 was Shane, and because he
Yeah.
had gone nuts, and season 1 was pretty much, yes, it was the walkers. Season 3 and 4 was he a governor? So they have to have one.
Yeah.
I'd be interesting to see because he is a badass. I mean,
Yeah.
So do we want to cover anything besides this, Rachel?
I just thought it was precious how they all reacted. I think women's hearts all over the world were fluttering wildly.
Okay, well,
Because he's such a bad boy, but he just melted.
I want to do a little prediction game here. I want everybody to give me a prediction and a percentage of which main character will die this year. Every season, a main character has died. So let's start with DeWayne.
Let's see, most likely to die. I know in the comic, a horrible thing happens to Carl right around this time. He doesn't die. As far as who will die, probably the skinny black guy. What is his name?
Oh, you're talking about Bob.
Bob. That's it. Either him or Tyrese's sister.
See, I did not think about that. Her. What about you, Rachel?
I have no idea. I mean, I'll be the one that'll be surprised.
Well, I'm thinking I got one is 50-50. Well, there's two of them. That's because they're a couple. One of them will die. Glenn and Maggie. I think that one of them will die because their whole well, I think it's more Maggie than Glenn, because Glenn is pretty much established, but their whole story arc as a couple has pretty much run its end.
Yeah, it's kind of petered out at this point.
Yeah. But I'll give 50-50 that Daryl dies.
No way.
No.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that
because
would,
we have no precedence when it comes to the comic, because he's not in the comic.
right.
Yeah, but he's a viewer favorite. People would be outraged.
That's the thing is this, him being a favorite. If he died, they'd probably lose half their viewership just after that episode. Just everybody walking away.
I mean, because he cannot do Walking Dead forever. I mean, because
Why not?
Well,
I think he can.
Because he's a very popular guy now. He can use this show to springboard and do other things. It would not be
Boondock Saints 3, anyone?
I love the first one, hated the second one. But I mean, I don't know. I know that. I feel that Maggie more than Glenn, but one of them will die. But I got a feeling that we're going to lose one of the major ones, like Rick or Daryl or Tyrese. But I think it's going to be Daryl, because they have to shape. If they're going to start off this explosive.
Yeah, it's going to have to, and it'll probably happen around episode 7, 8, 9, whenever they have their little Christmas break thing.
Yes.
It'll probably happen, that episode, and then everybody's going to be bitching and moaning for 3 months, waiting on it to come back on, and yeah.
Because last season, no season will ever have the ratings than the first one did. No, they damn near lost the show on the second season. 3 and 4 were good, but they were not great.
Yeah, because it's the most inconsistent show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have one half of the season be amazing, and the other half be like just garbage.
And it's always the first half that is amazing. And you have that lull.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
The first half of season 2 was garbage, and then like the last 2 to 3 episodes were pretty good.
Well, I just think that they have got to do something in order to keep people from going, what the hell? I mean, because they start off very explosive with, little bitty ass kicker almost getting, killed, and Carol carried that entire episode.
Yeah.
They're going to have a consistent where people are going to have to stay attuned, and they're going to have to keep it very high levels. I think that Rick, I don't think will die, because Rick is the main, character, and he is a moral leader of the group.
Yeah.
And if he dies, who will take over? I mean, Daryl can, but he's more of the guy who saves everybody else. Carl, he could probably die, and no one would be up in arms about that. But it would be shocking.
Yeah. See if we. I know around this time is when that really bad thing happens to Carl, and I'm thinking it's a little earlier in the comic that something pretty nasty happens to Rick too.
Well,
that he has to take action.
Like go psycho one.
No, all I'll say is remember Herschel.
Okay. Well, I don't think that Carl would be a big loss because you see him start off being this little weak boy who turned into this, I mean, damn near psychotic monster
Yeah.
who would tell his dad what to do. I'm sitting there going, that kid there needs a fucking spanking. Even in the zombie apocalypse, tear his ass up.
Yeah.
And then he turned into this sweet kid who's a badass with a handgun. So I don't think that they know what to do with Carl because he wasn't like that in the comics. He was pretty much a stable character, but they have him all over the damn place.
Yeah.
So I think that they can pretty much lose him. I don't want them to lose Tyrese because he's just now starting to get interesting.
Yeah. They definitely won't lose Abraham.
No, because he's the main focal point from here on besides Rick in the comics. So
Yeah.
Maybe that lesbian girl will get killed because she's expendable because we don't know jack about her.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this will play out and how our pre-auditions will go. Next time we're definitely going to drink before we do this show. It'll be fun for everybody. We're going to be introducing our what we call it again, our Walker Stalker Ale, or something like that, our Walking Dead Ale, or it's a drink, not a beer, but we decided that we're going to drink before each major show that we do, like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and just want to have some fun.
Yeah, might as well.
Because the last time that we did that, we had a blast. And it's our most listened to show.
And I can go on and on about archers again.
And we can hear Rachel chasing our dog, shit faced.
I really hope I don't have to do that again.
But this is it for this episode of the Zombie Defense League. Join us next week, and we'll probably be pretty ablished. If you want to hear us, we will be on Stitcher, we'll be on iTunes, we'll be on Windows Store. You can hear us on our website with our other shows at screechingdog.com. If you want to support us, you can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/screechingdog. We have all kind of goodies there that you can get. Does anybody want to close with anything?
I just can't wait till the next show.
Stay vigilant, and remember, when the lights go out, aim for the head.